We earn money, save money and buy things. Living beyond the economic cycle is impossible. What trends are dictated by world markets and how does it affect consumers? Fortunate people and economy. In this program you will know about the cost of clothing produced in Kazakhstan, why Chinese garment factories have to be closed and how did t-shirts and jackets become smart. Since her early childhood, Ayjamal Onobekova knew that she would become a seamstress. Her mother has been working at a sewing factory for the entire life. She even took personal orders to work at home. The knock of the sewing machine at the Onobekov's house has never died away. So after graduation from school, Ayjamal immediately chose her future profession and went to the Solar Tashkent for future studies.
Я поступать пошла в Ташкенте.
I went to do a special course in Tashkent. I studied there for 4 years. As I finished the course, I then began to work at home together with my mom. We were sewing at home. Then when we moved to Kostanay, I have again started visiting my courses. I attended them for a year. The teacher has noticed a diligent student in Ayjamal and helped her to get a job in the sewing studio. After 5 years of working there, the girl realized that she was ready to start her own business, but not in Kostanay. Ayjamal decided to sew for fashionistas in Almaty city. In her 25, Ayjamal has become the owner of a small company. But 2 years later, a fire destroyed everything so carefully created by her. Then she had to start all over again. Ayjamal decided to expand the new atelier. In addition, she created her own team by hiring 2 employees for their assistance. Of course, there were not many customers from the very beginning. It took time for me to create my own client base. But we have enough customers now, I can't complain. People even come from Astana. Patience is necessary to dial a customer, to get acquainted with people, with friends. Clients themselves will bring some other clients. They just say, that girl sews well. Also, some customers sometimes bring their relatives, their neighbors, and so on. According to Ayjamal, Kazakh masters can sew no worse than their overseas colleagues, and the demand for the items of domestic production is increasing every year. However, the main problem faced by many entrepreneurs is the lack of qualified staff. For example, a seamstress in the studio of Ayjamal should be able to work not only with a cloth, but also with skin and furs. Naturally, it is difficult to find one. I take the girls, they are learning for almost a year from me. I teach them to sew, because customers are constantly asking me to sew myself. In the future, Ayjamal would like to increase her production, hire more workers and sew not only by personal orders. Still, the implementation of these plans does not have enough finances. But Ayjamal does not want to ask for the assistance of the state. She says she wants to achieve everything on her own. To be honest, I would like to open a small shop to sew and sell stuff there. I dreamed about it, of course, but there are always difficulties with financing. But it seems to me if there is a desire, everything can be done. Men's suits, outwear, dresses, sports items, hats, baby clothes and shoes. All these has long been produced in Kazakhstan, though not in such quantities as it is being produced in China and Turkey. According to experts, the light industry in Kazakhstan covers only 10% of the domestic demand. The rest is the imported stuff. The average cost of men's suit tailoring in Kazakhstan is 30 to 40,000 tenge. For the same amount of money, you can also buy a men's outwear. Shoes will be cheaper, about 15,000 tenge. The average price of women's coats of domestic production equals to 30,000 tenge. Many countries of the world pay significant attention to the development of light industry, as this industry is of considerable social and economic importance for the ensuring high employment of the working population, in particular the women's employment. The importance of the industry is that for the consumption rate, it takes the second position after the food consumption. Clothing manufacturers themselves say that for today, Kazakhstanis have developed the loyal attitude to the local brands. After all, the quality of domestic things practically is not inferior to foreign analogs and sometimes even exceeds it. When we started 7 years ago, we probably were one of those who broke the stereotype that if it is made in Kazakhstan, it cannot be good. So today, after 7 years, I can say that we are already inside the very patriotic market, and we have consumers who really love the local products if they are worthy in terms of quality of design and prices. So now it is probably much easier for us than it was 7 years ago, when it was necessary to convince somebody. Back then it was difficult, it is now much easier and simpler. Meanwhile, experts highlight another trend. European manufacturers of clothing have long been looking in the direction of Kazakhstan. In the country, shops of famous foreign brands are constantly appearing, including the clothes for children. Experts attribute this to the decline in birth rates in European countries. Sale points of domestically produced children's goods are also being actively opened, on the purchase of which Kazakhstanis on average are willing to spend up to 200,000 tenge per year. When 7 years ago, Inna Apenko with her team was launching the production of children's clothes in Kazakhstan, many people did not believe in her success. The market was already overloaded with plenty of imported items for every budget and taste. But this did not deter Inna. On the contrary, this gave her impetus to sew beautiful and, most importantly, quality clothing. It is obvious that you have to be a few goals ahead of your competitors, especially when it comes to Turkish brands, even the European brands. In order to have the consumer made a priority towards you, we have a few features that take pride in our product. We create a quality product. Well, the quality is fuzzy characteristic for many. For us, it is first of all natural products. All our clothes, it is natural, hypoallergenic, and this is something we are proud of. Clothes of Kazakhstan's production should be as accessible as possible, and it is impossible to disagree with this statement. Therefore, shops of Inna Apenko exist in many cities of the country. It is also possible to order the clothing of her production online. In addition, this Kazakhstani brand is represented in Russia. We are very active now selling on the Russian market, and the strategy we have for the next 5 years is just the expansion and full networking in Russia through a franchising relationship. We are now working with wholesalers who buy our clothes. This is mainly Siberian region and those of the closest territories to us. They are Novosibirsk, Novokuznetsk and Tomsk. And we are actively going to go to Central Russia, to Moscow, to St. Petersburg. I think the next year the first stores will be opened. The system will be there. Over the past 15 years, the production of clothing and footwear in Kazakhstan has increased significantly. Production of textiles has doubled, 7 times increased tailoring, and 8 times production of leather and footwear products. Half of large enterprises of light industry are located in the South Kazakhstan region. This is primarily due to the proximity of raw materials markets and the availability of labor resources. In South Kazakhstan region, a cluster of light industry has been formed where there are some large enterprises, starting from raw materials suppliers to the enterprises of finished products. According to the Kazakhstan Industry Development Institute, the output in light industry in the period of January to October 2016 has exceeded 64 billion tenge. This is 13% more than the year before. In general, the impact of this industry on the economy of our country in comparison with other sectors of the economy is low. The share of light industry in the manufacturing industry is less than 1%. The branch performs both primary processing of raw materials and production of finished products. Light industry unites 3 main subgroups. This is the first, textile, second, sewing, and the third one, leather and footwear. In January-September 2016, Kazakhstan has almost half, 1.3, increased exports of light industry products. The total amount exceeded $176 million. Import was decreased by 1.4 times and reached $666 million, according to KIDI. Kazakhstan exports shoes and clothes mainly to Russia, cotton fiber to Ukraine and Moldova, fabric and yarn to Lithuania and Turkey. Tanned skin is being sent to China and Italy. Well, certainly, Kaznak's Corporation of Export Promotion, we have long been friends with them, and many of our export initiatives, apart from everything else, could have become possible to come true due to Kaznak's. There are many tools, useful tools of reimbursement, including an investment into intelligence. And we are there too. We probably are getting not very substantial compensation for those costs that we are having in this business relationships. So there are some tools which still not purposefully develop the light industry. They rather develop the industry as a whole, and within the course of these tools, businesses need to become more active, and the light industry too. Many large enterprises of light industry in Kazakhstan have been launched in the framework of the State Program of Industrial Innovative Development. Projects were receiving a full support from the government in the form of subsidies. As a part of the second five-year period of the state program, the light industry was not defined as a priority for the country, but it relates to the manufacturing industry, and hence the enterprises of light industry can count on state support in the amount of 20% of the public funds allocated to support the manufacturing industry in the framework of state program. Also, the country has a comprehensive plan for the development of light industry for the period from 2015 to 2019. Its main goal is to increase the competitiveness of products of the industry. Companies can count on the support in several governmental programs. In addition, there are other business support tools, including the light industry, such as the Employment 2020, a Roadmap of Business 2020, the Exporter 2020, Performance in 2020, and many other state programs. And all these instruments should be used by domestic producers. Entrepreneurs say, despite the fact that their industry was excluded from the list of priorities, they still feel the support of the state. After all, the country has developed enough tools to help businesses. If speaking not just about the light industry, but about the entrepreneurship in general, about the business as a whole, we have a lot of sufficiently effective tools that are offered to business by the state, and some of them are evidently effective, and we are actively using them. That is, for example, we just did a demonstration, the company through which you can track the effectiveness of public instruments. Leasing, list equipment, we have uptrained almost all our staff and sewing equipment. Experts believe that the Kazakhstani enterprises can fully provide the population with clothing, from underwear to jackets and coats. However, the main problem of such companies is in the lack of advertising, hence the lack of confidence of consumers and low productivity. The largest manufacturers and exporters of garments in the whole world are the Asian countries. These are China, India and Taiwan. For example, in China, there are more than 20,000 textile and clothing companies. However, in recent years, the industry in the country has started to change. Environmental problems in China also affected the textile industry. The country has tightened the punishment up to criminal for the pollution of water resources, so business have to be reconstructed on the new technology for reusing water. At these, small factories cannot afford to purchase such equipment and are forced to close. The clothing industry of the US also faces the difficulties. Local manufacturers are not able to compete with Asian counterparts because in the United States the labor force is several times more expensive, and 97% of clothing worn by the US residents is made abroad. There is also no qualified personnel in the industry. The majority of footwear is also being produced in Asia, over 80%. At the same time, half of this volume is exported to Europe and North America. And if Asia's largest manufacturer is China, in Europe it is Italy. In this country there are nearly 9,000 shoe enterprises. They mainly specialize in production of shoes of middle and high class. Innovation has not spared the light industry. Smart textile and clothing have been circulating on the market for more than a year. These perform protective functions. For example, sensors in clothes can transmit a distress signal in case of danger, response to overheating or hypothermia. And if before such things were sewn for firefighters or rescuers only, today they are available to anyone. According to forecasts, the global market of smart textiles will increase by 2023 up to 30%. By this time, its volume will reach nearly $8 billion. The main obstacle in the production of nano fabrics is the high cost of technology. Every year, the price for them is growing. The main producer of smart clothes is the United States of America. There was noticed the increasing demand for items with integrated electronics. The US developers have created a T-shirt that does not get dirty. At the same time, the designers argue that the cloth is sewn only from natural fibers using a unique dirt repulsion technology. For example, if the liquid is poured to the shirt, it just slides down. Such clothing was especially designed for athletes and travelers. Another novelty is a shirt to find Wi-Fi. A special indicator is integrated into the clothes, which is battery operated. It blinks when the network is detected. The cost of such a gadget is around $19 US.